Well, hello internets. Here we are with a little bit of a project. No, it's not the workbench rebuild project yet. And no, it's not another one of these painting videos. If you've done any amount of craft work or painting or airbrushing or so, you know that drying time is an issue. And storing paintings or items while they dry can be a little bit of a bother. Now, I've been finding over the last 4 seasons that I've been painting that storing my paintings in between the time that they are reasonably dried to when that they are sealed and ready to go can be a few months. And during that time, in the past years, I have just stacked the paintings. I know that's one of the worst things you can do, but when you're limited on space, you sometimes need to get creative. Well, I have been searching the internet for a couple of baker's tray racks. The big commercial kind of racks that you put a tray in, like muffins or cookies or whatever other baking needs. Well, when I find them, I either they are way too much money out of my budget, and when I do have a little bit of money sitting there, you usually can't find them. So I went to the drawing board and I sketched me up a plan to build my own. In front of us here we have the material needed to build my own customized or tailored to my own needs baker's tray rack. Now, it's not going to be a canvas drying rack as in you put wet canvases in there, because I lay my canvases out, let them reasonably dry before they get put away. So it'll be more of a canvas curing rack to finish completely drying and to keep them from sticking together. So what I did is I got me 12 1x2 8-footers, and I cut 10 of them into 21-inch sections. I cut 4 of them into 17-inch sections. I got 3 2x2 8-footers, and I cut them into 6-foot sections. These are going to be our vertical rails that hold the 21-inch pieces together. And because I chose 6 feet, I had 4. And because I chose 6 feet, I had 4 left over to trim down for the horizontal structural bracing. And I had to buy 1 more 2x2 to equal out the next 2 to equal 6. And when I was done doing my cuts, all I was left over was that for essentially job ends or cutoffs. And because I'm going to put casters on this at the other end, these 4 2x2 chunks are actually going to be used. So really, there's only potentially going to be these 2 here left over as job ends. Now, realistically, I should run these through the table saw and trim these out so a 1x2 section could drop in there, kind of locking in place, and it'll create structure, create strength, and it's just a better way of doing it. However, because I don't have a table saw, we got to do it the next best way. Now I'm going to use L brackets and screws to attach them, and I'll put a little bit of construction adhesive, and that'll hold the 21-inch horizontal rails to this. I know it's not the best way of doing it, but it's the way that we got to do it, given the limited tools that we have on hand nowadays. So let's get set up, get her done, and see how she looks like. Okay, so a little bit of a check-in on the drying rack project here. As you see, I have half of the L brackets put in right now, using the little small 1x1 hole L brackets and 1-inch number 6 Robertson screws, running them in, tightening them on down, and she should be good to go. Using the straight edge here to keep the L brackets in line to where they want to go, and running the screws in, and everything has been going good so far. The next step, after you get all the L brackets onto the vertical supports, is to attach the horizontal rails to the L brackets. This is where the construction adhesive comes in, and the drying rack starts to take its form. So I'm going to throw you up on the old stand here, get you a bird's eye view of the work, and then take it from there. So now the L brackets are attached to the vertical supports with 1-inch number 6 countersunk screws. It's time to attach the horizontal rails to the L brackets, to the vertical brackets, to the vertical supports with 5/8 number 6 countersunk screws. Now, as mentioned before, I'm going to put a little drop of PL on everywhere it contacts, just to give it extra strength where it needs to be. So let's get at her, and I'll probably throw you in fast forward mode and see you at the other side. Okay, so once the PL is put in place, I spread the rails out to the appropriate width, started adding in the horizontal supports. I started with, of course, the very top one, a middle one, and a bottom one, mainly just to give me a guide on size wise and stuff, so I don't have to fuss with it as I'm going along the road. Everything is already preset in place and ready for the next one. I've got both my bundles laid out in approximately the locations will go, plus or minus, as well as pack of screws and my drill driver good to go as well. Now I'll probably throw you once again on the old fast forward mode as I attach the bottom set of railings here. Then I will do the top half myself off camera. So just to give you an idea of what I'm building here, essentially what I'm building is a ladder kind of construction, 2 vertical main rails and then horizontal slats every so often, quite similar to a ladder, just 3 times as many slats. So far it's going together fairly well. So far everything is going like I had thought in my head for it to turn out. If I were to do it again, I might take extra time and attach the L brackets to the boards, the horizontal slats first, and then attach them to the vertical rails. Little bit of measuring, little bit of figuring, one more step might make things a little more easier. But with my driver the way it is, it fits in there perfectly fine. No real big headaches or hassles. Like I mentioned, I believe in the opening part of this, to make this better, I would have cut little channels that these little slats would have dropped into, and it would have essentially eliminated the whole L bracket thing, made for a stronger unit altogether. But this is for my own personal use, not for resale. Not something I would sell in my shop or anything like that. Just for my own use, and I'm here to fix it if something does come loose over time. We can revisit this idea in the future if I do find need for more space, and maybe make a better attempt at the second go around. I'm going to do the next half and then well, check on back. Okay, so I have all the horizontal slats attached to the vertical pieces, as well as I attach the 3 main structural pieces as well. The reason why I call those structural pieces is because they're 2x2s, not 1x2s, and they're attached in with longer screws over just L brackets and PL adhesive. Now there's going to be 6 little, I think 17-inch boards that come off of these structural pieces, which then will attach to the other half of this here drying rack. Essentially all that holds left to right is 6 little boards. We'll have to see how that shakes out. We may have to add more strength over time. There is a plan in the works for possible of sheeting this in to give it more protection from splatters and contaminations. And of course, when you sheet it in, that'll add structural strength as well as more weight. So we'll have to revisit that part in the future. It's a little bit awkward to be filming and working at the same time. I find myself getting into a groove and forgetting to turn on the camera. So I get a bunch of stuff done and then I look back and I go, oh yeah, I guess I should have filmed that. So gonna continue to go here, attach the few more of the pieces, maybe and then I will do the left to right section off camera, and then we'll come on back when it's time to mate the sections together. Okay guys, so here we go. Got the left half mated with the right half via the horizontal supports, whatever y'all want to call them. It's all gone together fairly well. No real big surprises in my wonderful design that I did in my head, except I miscalculated on 2 of the horizontal supports, and I had to cut 2 more for a total of 6, not 4. I think in my original jotting I was going to make the bottom here out of 2x2s to make the bottom extra stiff for caster wheels. However, I can't seem to find caster wheels locally, and I'm gonna have to order online. and the ones that I can find online are different from the design that I was hoping to be able to use. So we'll have to wait for those wheels to come in before we can finish this here build. But for right now, it's at a point where it can be used, and then in a month or two, when the order comes in, we can finish it from there. So let's clean up, and for you guys it'll be a minute. For me it'll be a month and a half or so before the wheels arrive. Well, hello internets, here we are. Little bit of update on the canvas drying rack. First of all, I'd like to say it's not really a drying rack, it's more of a curing rack, meaning that the canvas is already reasonably dry by the time they go in here, and this is where they sit between the time they go in here and the time they get cleared. Once again, if I stack them and they're a little bit on the soft side, they stick together. Well, instead of waiting a month and a half for things to get here, I went down and found me a set of wheels locally. These aren't the style that I was looking for. I was more looking for the kind that would have bolted in this area right here and supported it from the bottom, possibility on a piece of plywood. However, when I found these that actually support the bulk of the weight in the main line of where it's going to be put on, these seem to be much better at my use than what I thought they would be. The 1 7/8" wheels seem to me a little small, but once again, they are rated for 370 pounds, which should be within the weight rating that I'm looking for when or if this rack is full of canvas. The bearings seem a little, dry, but once again, they probably traveled a long way to get here on a slow boat or two, probably with like a drop of grease to begin with. So I'm probably going to end up greasing them before I stand the rack up. I attached them with only 2 1.5-inch lag bolts. Of course, 1 bolt here, 1 bolt there. I was gonna do 4 per wheel. However, I think 2 is plenty or sufficient for this weight rating. It's not like it's holding up a lathe or something insanely heavy. Once again, if I do notice them loosening or not doing their job, I can always adjust them at a later date. So let's put this thing up on its wheels and well, see if she holds together. So as you can see, there is plenty of room between the rails on the canvases here and the next one to allow, well, finger grab to get in without putting your knuckles on the one below it. Plenty of room to allow airflow in between to dry, cure, whatever you want to call it, during the time it's in here. Plenty of room as well to allow for potentially thicker canvases or to add some texture or build up on the canvases. Plenty of room to put in a little sheet of whatever would be 1/8 or possibility of 3/8 plywood in there, so I can put smaller type canvases in. But right now, as I said, it's set up for 16 by 20s, which is my current choice that I use, and well, it's gone together fairly well. On a scale of 1 to 10, I probably rate this build, given everything I've gone through, current ability, current tools, I did about a 9.5. There was some difficulties with tools, difficulties with cutting. Had to shop around a bit for material, but I guess that's not the rack's fault. I apologize for the lighting, but it is what it is. As you see there, got the rack up on its wheels. Before I did that, I lubed the bearings with a couple drops of silicone lube. The same type of silicone I use in my pour paintings. Unfortunately, I do not have any lithium spray anymore, so I had to use what I had on hand. It did not quiet down the bearings, but it did make for a little bit of something in there just in case. But as you see, got the rack up on its wheels, got her already well over half full. My season's only begun, and it's been a pretty decent season already. I could probably have this rack full up before the season's over, but you know, maybe I should have built two of them, because really it's the same once you got the process on the roll. We can always revisit this idea next season, and a possibility of, well, doing a second one. Applying some of the things I learned from this one to make the next one even better. But this has been one of the projects that's on my list. We got her done, got her good to roll for the upcoming seasons, and thanks for coming along on the journey. And as always, thanks for watching Maxwell's World. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.